about them Cowboys. It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
Well, we kind of labeled this one today the Matt Eberflus Bowl, but I was going to say maybe I should have called it the Ben Johnson Bowl, because Ben Johnson and the Bears were prepared. They were fired up. They came ready to play. They had a plan. They executed that plan, and they imposed their will. 31-14 as the Cowboys were mauled by the Bears at Soldier Field today. Sometimes you say, like, a game isn't as bad as it looked. You could make a case this one was actually worse than the score looks. It was really, really bad. I know it's only week 3. I know everybody's saying September is the new August and yada, yada, yada. But certainly after what we saw last weekend with the overtime win over the Giants and all the issues defensively, this was certainly not the step forward or game of improvement that we were looking for from the Cowboys defense and offensively. Man, I mean, just the way that the opening drive started with that fluke fumble just kind of set the tone for the entire afternoon. Anyway, it's great to have you with us. Thank you for being with us. Welcome to the Cowboys Squad Show. My name is Jeff Biggs, longtime host and reporter. Blessed to be with you. Blessed to be working with two of the best. Iisha Morrison, who breaks it down like nobody else. You talk about next level. And, of course, former Cowboys coach, the one and only Glenn Stretch Smith. So I look today was really I'm not trying to get negative or go overboard, but I would, like, sometimes you say pleasantly surprised. I was like pleasantly unsurprised in a bad way. I did not expect them to look this bad. What are your initial thoughts before we break it down?
My initial thoughts were, I hope my mic is on. Sometimes it turns off. My initial thoughts were, man, there's just a lot of pressure on this offense to have to score. And if they don't, then it's kind of curtains. You get the offense wasn't able to capitalize sometimes down the field, and the defense couldn't get stops. I mean, at all. And a lot of the same things that you saw last week came to surface, and your offense couldn't really bail you out the way that it was last week. So just the overall it's just not a good team effort on both sides of the ball to me, when you look at it, and it feels like a big deal. You know, I understand it's week 3, like you were saying, Jeff, but this feels like it could get rough, you know, for this team. What you got, Coach?
Hey, you're putting your best flight attendant hat on, because you're exactly right. Go pick up all the drinks and all the food that's been put down. We got a really long flight, and it is fixing to get real rough. And I mean real rough. The game plan is out there. It's you know, I've always told guys, and you heard me say it on here, do things in practice, and that's in pencil. But when you do things in a game, that's in Sharpie, and everybody gets to see it. And so now, last week, everybody got to see it. Guess what? All they did was plagiarize what was done last week. Same format, not the same routes, put it into their offense, but said, we're going to take our quarterback, who's been average as a bowl of grits, and we're going to make him look like a Hall of Fame quarterback. And you know, we can say this guy's out, that guy's out. We could change personnel. At the end of the day, they don't have any answers for what's going on. And all you had to do was see, I believe it was Malik Hooker, after the first series, take his helmet and just throw it into the ground. And then you watch a football team after that in the secondary who is very confused. They don't know what's being asked of them. They do not know what's going on. And right now, it's hard for me to sit up here and criticize, because I know how hard the job is. But right now, you have a secondary that is completely void of any kind of confidence, and nor do they know what's expected of them.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge jump. I mean, schematically, we knew it was going to be a big difference coming into this year. You can't hear me? Oh, you knew it was going to be a difference coming into this season. You know, with Eberflus and what Zimmer like to do. Maybe some similarities with some of the zone stuff, but just not nearly as much. I think the lack of pass rush is killing you too. The only person that had even a QB hit today was Sam Williams, and he didn't even play all the snaps because they pulled his ass. I don't know if I can say that word, but they pulled him after he had the penalty early in the first quarter. So I mean, the lack of pass rush is not helping the secondary. The secondary is already confused. It's just a recipe for disaster. And to your point, I 100% expected a coach like Ben Johnson to come in and take advantage of it. And more so, he's an OC that likes to embarrass people. He's a head coach. When he was an OC, he piles it on. So the flea flicker and things like that were not things that I didn't expect to see today. Dallas had no answers, and I just feel like I said, no pass rush, secondary confused sounds bad all the way around.
Yeah,
All the
he
way
tried
around.
to troll you. He tried to troll you really late in the game with a 17-point lead, and they snapped it to Moore, and Caleb was outside, and they were gonna. He absolutely tried to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna troll you in this situation." And you know, the NFL, it's rough, partner, and I got news for you. It's getting ready to get real rough, and I do mean real rough.
Hey, yo, coach, do the grits have sugar or salt in them? What they got in them? Because it just listen.
They got Tabasco, and you just turned them back in.
Oh
So
What is
man.
that, curry or whatever kind of bad tasting booty butt stuff you can put on it. That's what they taste like.
You shouldn't even know what that is. What
And
you got? What you got?
You don't know how old I am. You don't know how old I am.
What you got,
I've been
Jeff?
around the block. I've been around the block a few times. This ain't my first rodeo.
Booty butt's crazy, coach. What you got, Jeff?
But Rudy Poo butt. Rudy Poo booty butt. Poot.
Come
Let's
on,
get
we're
on
gonna
with
get
this.
we're gonna get
you,
kicked
you
off
gotta,
live.
yeah, you gotta you gotta fill me in on that at some point. But in the meantime, is there what I guess for lack for short question, what's the next step? I mean, realistically, what can they do to try to stop this bleeding?
I mean,
Realistically,
honestly, well, realistically, this is to me, it's a Jimmy's and Joe's thing too. It's not just the scheme. I think it also too is like I said, the Cowboys edge players, all of them are powerful edge players. They are not. You don't have a single guy that can win one-on-one right now. It's a problem. It's a problem. Your defensive tackles are the only people who are even warranting a double team. So teams are able to play you straight up. I mean, Cowboys play rushed four all day, and it didn't matter. Caleb Williams sat back there and threw the ball as he wanted to. And so something's got to give. Either you're
something's got to give, or in her case, give out. She'll be
Yeah,
right back.
I mean, the situation for me is that this is you are talking about a schematic problem right now. You have a problem with, and you can say, well, it isn't the players. At the end of the day, you have to match your scheme and what you do schematically with your personnel. That's why they call you the coach. That's your job. Match the personnel with your scheme. Now, I watch early in the football game, I watched Trayvon Diggs go up, and yeah, he's going to jam the guy. He goes to jam the guy's feet are square together. He misses, slips. Adunzier just jogs by him for a touchdown. That tells me that's not being coached. That's what that tells me. And so the last thing I'm going to do is get on here and start going at guys, but I'm going to tell you that your responsibility as a football coach is to match your personnel with what you can do schematically. Otherwise, I can just go get anybody to say, hey, we're going to put this scheme in. I think it goes to last year when Mike Zimmer had an issue with Al Harris. They couldn't get on the same page with what they wanted to do. They couldn't coordinate the back end. Now it looks like the same scenario here. The back end is not coordinated with what you're trying to do up front. I don't care about all that other stuff. Just put them up there. They're X's and O's to me. But at the end of the day, you have to be sound in what you're doing. And when your players are not sound and they don't know what's being asked of them, it's going to get rough.
I guess real quick, Iisha, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, to your point, Coach, Eberflus has his system that he's trying to implement, right? The players are clearly, they're struggling. So I'm asking, is it realistic? Is there like a Band-Aid? Is there something they can do to help the players that he has right now here in 2025 to help them be successful and to try to do better and not get burned and have so many bad plays?
I mean, Coach was talking about the scheme and, the players seeming like they're not picking up on things. I feel like he is kind of in a tough spot, though, because then obviously the guys need to know their assignments on the back end. You can't have these safeties taking bad angles. You can't have guys jamming at the line and their feet look wonky. Like there's that. But then there's also, too, the fact that you're not generating pressure at all right now. So secondaries are only going to be, your secondary is only going to be able to do so much. So then you say, all right, well, how do you bring more pressure? Okay, well, then now we're doing nickel blitzes. But then if you have a quarterback that can get the ball out, you're screwed either way. So it's one of those things where it's like he's trying to fix, like it's too much stuff to fix to me. It's a lot, because if you fix it on the back end, great. That would be awesome. But if the guy still has a million years to just sit back there, get a pillow, chill, get some potato chips and pass the ball, then your secondaries only can keep up that long. So I feel like he's in a weird spot. I agree with Coach that you need to match your personnel to what you're trying to do. You need to figure out, okay, this is what they do well. This is what they don't do well. Well, Coach, what if they don't do nothing well right now? That
is where you're at. And then you have an offense who has zero room for error. They have zero room for error. They can't fumble the ball. They can't get a pick. Can't get a penalty. They have zero room for error. Jeff, Jeff, are you listening when I get on this show, these other shows? I mean, how many did I tell you that the Cowboys are going to need to score in the 30s?
30s, yeah.
That's going to be, and let me help you out. That'll be next week. That'll be the week after that. And it'll be a week after that, and we got, 14 more of them. They're going to have to score in the 30s because it's the position that they're in right now. You make the point about Sam Williams, and, for whatever reason, he at times looks very undisciplined with what he's doing. And your hand can get up in a guy's Adam's apple and then work its way up into his face mask. I would, I don't just damn him for doing that. What I am saying is, and I get it, you're not good at that position right now, but guess what? You have to then manufacture some ways to try to make the quarterback uncomfortable. And if you don't play jam press coverage, there are certain downs in the football game you might have to come out and you might have to play that some. And so it's just part of it, because if you think that LaFleur is not laughing about looking at this film, they're going to be laughing their ass off. I'm just telling you, they're going to flip this film on and be laughing their ass off. And so you have to come up with ways to put your players in position to at least have a chance. And when guys are confused and not knowing what's asked of them, which I don't know what the call is, and certainly I'm just looking at it and giving you my opinion for what I see and what I'm looking at. And when you see guys on the last touchdown, he's playing a half field coverage over there, but he's got his eyes in the backfield and he acts as if he's spying a quarterback, when in fact they were only bringing 3 and dropping a guy to spy the quarterback. He makes a move and the guy's just standing there in the back and Moore's just standing there, or was it a Dunze across the last one? He's just standing on the baseline. It's just, I mean, he could have punted him the football. Yeah. So again, I mean, you started the show off. It's fixing to be, you know, we're into the mentality of it's going to be rough. And Jeff, I don't know that there's a Band-Aid. I mean, you can go back and play more base coverages, but I don't know that you can be any more base than what they're doing right now. And so it's ugly.
Yeah, you're so simple that, you know, one thing that Caleb Williams has struggled with is, you know, some of the disguises on the back end. You can't even do some of that stuff because they're having miscommunications with the base coverages, like Coach said. I think my biggest concern right now is the fact that, I don't know, like Coach said, how much pressure this puts on your offense. Now, the offense, they had opportunities early in this game. Again, we're talking about the defense, but I felt like offensively, you get into the red zone 4 times, you only score 1 time. That matters, and it definitely changed the game and the feel of the game. When you had that penalty by Tyler Guyton early, I believe as well that got you called back. A couple other things, so it's like the perfection in which the offense has to play in is not realistic. It puts a lot of pressure on them, and then you start seeing the interceptions, and then you start seeing things like that. So it's really crappy as well because I felt like the run game was efficient when it needed to be today, and then you some of the decisions that were made were kind of odd too. You're at the one yard line. Javonte Williams is averaging 7 yards a pop. We passed the ball, but I also understand the coach feeling like trying to be aggressive, quote unquote. So it's just the defense is seriously shifting your game planning completely right now, how you handle things. And I will say that I thought that Shoddy would be more aggressive going into the half to try to double dip because you see this defense. Nothing that this defense has shown you at this point should make you feel like you don't have to be aggressive every time you touch the ball. Like, you got to go score, like Coach said. And I felt like there was some conservatism a bit at points in this game, and that hurt you as well. So, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm tired already. Like, I ain't ready, man. I ain't ready for it to be like this all season. I'm just not.
All right. Well,
I got a little bad news for you.
No, don't do that. You already said Tabasco and grits.
Yeah, get ready.
Tabasco and grits.
All right. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the offense and some more turning points in this game and a whole lot more. We got a lot of people watching live. Thank you for that. A lot of people weighing in with their comments. We appreciate that as well. Wish it was after a win, but great to be with you. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. And I want to talk to you for a minute about Prize Picks because this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. And with football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. It's quick, easy, and really the best way to follow along with football. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Welcome back to the Cowboy Squad Show. Cowboys fall to the Bears in Chicago, 31-14. Well, to your point, Iisha, the start of the game with the running game and Javonte Williams looked good until that weird fumble where literally just instead of taken from behind him. And that really that gave the Bears kind of the opening and the little emotional boost that they kind of needed to get going, and they got the offense going, and it was really downhill, and the Cowboys were on their heels pretty much the rest of the game. To your point, that they had a chance to maybe get back into the game before halftime, but that totally flipped. And then it was just the 10-minute drive in the third quarter that put the game away pretty much.
Yeah, really thought early in that game, especially at the half, Javonte Williams, you could tell that, the run game was kind of wearing on those guys. You had them huffing and
Yeah.
puffing a bit. And I thought that there would be a little bit more aggressiveness to score before the half, and then also try to come out and score after the half. But it just wasn't there. And to your point about the Javonte Williams fumble, I felt like it mattered because the defense came out and got a stop. We're talking about a defense that clearly is struggling with some confidence. It seemed like they came out a little bit confident. The coach put confidence in them by deferring again. Yep. And when you didn't get that result, and then your offense puts the defense back on the field, it just went down here from there. So it just a lot of untimely penalties as well, erasing plays and things like that. And then the defense on the field again, and an 8-minute drive for this defense watching it was demoralizing. I don't know how you felt, Coach, but watching it, I was just like, you could tell from the body language that these guys were just, over it. Over it.
Yeah, it was, you're talking about before the half, and I'm looking at, how I charted it before the half. So they ran an ISO to Javonte for 1. It's 2nd and 9. He throws a speed out to Tolbert. It's a really poor ball. It should have been intercepted. The ball was behind him, and it should have been intercepted. So then on 3rd and 9, and you got to give Chicago some credit there because they showed blitz. They loaded the line of scrimmage. He checked it to a tight end screen on 3rd and 9. And Brady does a heck of a job of talking about that. I'll give him a lot of credit. He really is. He's good. Sometimes I think he talks a little bit over the viewers' heads a little bit, but he talked about, hey, they had crowded the line and they showed they were going to play sick-em football. And then what Dennis Allen did was he backed out of it. Well, it caused you to check to a tight end screen, and he gets 4 yards, and you have to punt the football. So, sometimes they win the scenario too. And I don't think Dak adjusted to that very well offensively, as far as them showing that they were going to come after you and then blowing out of it. Now I'm going to say this, that they found themselves a back. Javonte Williams can run the football, and he runs the football with his head over his toes and his shoulders down, and he finishes runs. That's a good thing. And they found a really good tight end in Span Ford, who I think is physical. That they don't have issues on the offensive side of the ball. What they're going to have to do is offensively, you have to be perfect right now with the defense that they've got, and it's almost impossible to do that in the NFL.
I think you bring up a really good point about some of the things that Dennis Allen does, dropping his defensive ends and, showing them or whatever the case may be. That was something that I pointed out this week, because when I was at training camp, I thought that Dak Prescott, when Eberflus was doing that, because he was doing that during training camp. And I know, Coach, you say, we see things in training camp, we don't see them again. But that was something that Dak Prescott gave interceptions away to in training camp. So I agree with you that seems like something that maybe he's not I'm not gonna say he's not comfortable, but some of the decisions he made in checking to those plays. Lord have mercy. How many yards did Jake Ferguson have today? And a lot of it was check downs. I tweeted, he gonna have to ice up today because he had 1 million catches for not that many yards. I think he had 86 yards today.
All at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, all close to the line of scrimmage. And that could very well, when we go back and watch the film, Coach, that could very well be because of the quarterback checking and not seeing what he wanted. But then also, too, I know that you said, Coach, we don't have to talk about, the guys that were missing. But when you lose a CeeDee Lamb, it does change the defensive game plan on the other side. You can almost.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, 100%. What's he doing in the backfield? I don't know. I guess
you hear me?
Question that, but was it a great call to run toss at that point in the game to him? I don't know. I mean, again, there's a lot of different things that you can, and this is the problem when you, and I'll share this. This is the problem is when when one side of the ball is just getting shellacked, you magnify what's going on the other side of the football, and everybody wants to start pointing fingers. Well, you do your job. Well, you take care of this. Well, you do that, and that's when it is gonna really challenge this first year head coach, because I mean, I know, he was into all that rah-rah, and there was the guy down there with the turnover chain and all that stuff, and all that's cute. And until it turns the other way. And then, I mean, I'm telling you, this is I don't want to sound the alarm. We've seen this now 2 weeks in a row. You got lucky to win last week. And now the alarm needs to be sounded, because this could really be a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I was worrying about. And I was kind of looking at the players' body language, kind of how they were reacting on the sideline, all those things, because you crazy if you think that you don't start getting to a point to where guys, again, are pointing fingers, or the offense is like, well, we did our job, or whatever the case may be. It is going to take a lot to keep this locker room together through this time, because I would venture to say that they thought that they were better than this team coming out, but unfortunately, that did not prove to be true. This is the first game of Caleb Williams' career that he was not sacked. And that Chicago offensive line is not anything impressive. So you got a lot of
borderline bad. Borderline bad.
Yeah. And you weren't able to take advantage of any of those gentlemen. I mean, Darnell Wright got injured during this game, and you still couldn't. Last week, you went up against third-string tackles, and you couldn't get pressure. So it's too much to me for a coach, personally. Like, I'm like, a coach can try to figure out things on the back end all he wants to, but if you are literally not affecting the quarterback at all, then it's going to be a rough day all the way around. And then your linebackers look confused a couple of times. There were times where these guys were shooting gaps that weren't really there, missed tackles. I mean, I can't tell you how many times on some of those long runs you saw players turning their back and running with the person. Find the ball. What's happening right now? It just looks so dysfunctional. And I don't know, man. I'm a bit baffled by the performance today, because I just feel like in this spot, you understood that the Bears were in a desperate place. You understood that coming in this game. They needed to win this game. Well, you did too. Your division won games today. So I don't know. I'm trying to process what position they're in. And Coach, I just don't think that there's a easy, quick fix to any of this at all. And so I am expecting for it to be like this until further notice.
Well, I think that's right. The one thing I will say is the one thing you must fix the secondary. You've got to have players that at least understand what their responsibilities are. Donovan Ezeraku, you're going to have to live with what he can and can't do. You're going to have to live with Marshawn Nealand and what he can and can't do. And you're going to have to at least keep those guys, with their motor running. But when you see guys on the back end of the defense making mental mistakes, I'm not talking about physical mistakes, because up front we're talking about physically. They're just not very good. But you have to eliminate making mental mistakes and missed assignments. It cannot happen, because your margin for error is razor thin. And I'm talking about on both sides. You can't make a mental mistake on offense, because literally, you talked about it, Iisha, 4 times in the red zone and 1 touchdown. That ain't going to get that. That's going to get you beat. And I don't care. Doesn't matter who you're playing on the other side of the ball. I mean, it just doesn't. And so my point is they cannot have mental mistakes and mental breakdowns. It cannot happen.
Yeah, and the turnovers were killer. Lost the turnover battle 4-0 today, and every single time it mattered. It mattered. These are important moments, and I understand the
Yep.
quarterback is trying to make something happen out of nothing. Obviously, you had the Javante fumble earlier that set the tone to a degree, and then your quarterback has a pick in the end zone, the tipped pick with Pickens, the ball going through his hands, and so I agree with you. It does feel like everything is going to be highlighted or under a microscope on the other side of the ball because you are relying on the offense in such a way that's just not realistic at this point. And so oh my God. What my question to you, coach, was what would you do with the secondary? I think we saw Wanye Thomas get a couple snaps. Um, in this situation, if what if it's your veteran players that are having these mental lapses? Because Malik Hooker is someone that played under Eberflus. This is someone that is supposed to basically be the telephone from the coach to the field, and we see him making mental lapses. So at what point in time do you decide to, maybe change up your lineups, or is that something that
You're going to have to do it now. You're going to have to do it. I mean, I'll tell you that I think Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson are the same guy. They're box safeties. They like to play down. They like to be run support guys. They're physical with how they do that. And neither one of them are great cover guys. And so you're going to have to take a hard look at where you're at and what your personnel looks like. And not a lot of times guys are hesitant to go in there and say that, because guess what? You may be criticizing somebody that somebody from scouting brought in, or that somebody drafted from this position, or somebody drafted in that position, or, that Jerry feels like maybe he's a better player than in fact he is. And it has to be, you have to point all of these things out, and you have to then ask yourself, are we giving our guys every tool that we can give them so that they can work on the job that they have to work on? Because right now it doesn't feel like they got the right tools.
I mean, you mentioned Donovan Wilson and him being a guy that's better working closer to the line of scrimmage. Malik Hooker, I think, has lost some of that ranginess that he used to have as well. I just don't see them. I just don't see them not sticking with those guys. Like if they do, I would be shocked. If they change, I would be shocked. Donovan Wilson and
they may not have anybody, Iisha. They may not.
That's probably
what any of them really good. I mean,
and that might be what it is.
Yeah, here's this basically though. What I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show it tonight on Channel 8. When you allow a tight end in the red zone who's got his hand down to release and run an outside seam route, just allow him to just run through there, that tells me somebody systematically, your scheme is wrong. I don't care if you got a 7 technique, which is inside eye, 9 technique, which is outside eye. Give me somebody down in there that can at least get him something to where he can't free release in that situation. And then when you let him make that long, you let him have that 9.5 minute drive, and you allow the guy just to go to the baseline, and you didn't know what the assignment was, or if there was somebody else in fact spying the quarterback because you were only bringing 3. It's a mental mistake, and we call it communication. You can tab it whatever you want to tab it. At the end of the day, cannot leave guys buck wide open in the NFL. Caleb Williams, who paints his toenails, just wore your ass out.
Coach, you got to stop.
I'm just calling it the way it is. Some people don't like that. I'm just telling you. I mean, he's been average as hell all year, and he just stuck it on you. I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, you can't say anything to how many guys were just wide open today. There's no excuse for it, and it's just. I don't know the last time now, and don't get it twisted, I was around last year. The Dallas secondary took time. The defense in general took some time. It wasn't about some mid-season almost that they started understanding Zimmer's scheme and what he was asking of them. Because when Dan Quinn was here, it was cover 1, cover 3, Robert, and we're going to go play. That was it. And you had a pass rush that could get home with 4. So then you shift to Zimmer, and Zimmer is asking these guys to disguise on the back end, doing some uneven fronts and trying to do stuff like that. These guys were confused still. So to your point, coach, you have a lot of the same gentlemen on the back end that you did last year. Maybe this group just struggles with some of this stuff. And I mean, we're going to look at it. They're running simple coverages. So maybe it's just if your personnel's not picking up on this stuff, and every time you're talking about running some zone, they're struggling, then maybe they're just not a good zone team. They tried to do some man early in this game, and dudes couldn't jam at the line. So then what is it that you do? What is it that you do? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess maybe they only gave up one score in the second half. I mean, maybe that was a minor adjustment. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here, trying to look at something positive.
Yeah, you are, because they called the dogs off after he tried to troll him with that touchdown.
Yeah.
Yes, he called the dogs off.
100%. What happened to Jadeveon Clowney? Wasn't he supposed to try to play today? Did I miss that? I was multitasking.
He was inactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was inactive today. Mozzie Smith got the call up today over Jay Tawia.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I was waiting for something. Jadon Blue still hasn't gotten the opportunity to get out there on the field, but I hope that they find out. I thought that Miles Sanders gave you a couple good runs today.
Yeah.
I still feel like his vision is weird sometimes, but I felt like he gave you a couple good runs today. I love how Javonte Williams is running the ball, but that physical style of play will wear on you. And so he does need somebody to come in and be able to take some load off him with some of these snaps. I wholeheartedly feel that way. Hunter Lipke had some good blocks on the outside today. Coach, I think that you mentioned Brevin Spann-Ford had some good blocks on the outside today, just trying to get these guys out in space. So if we're looking for upsides, that's all I got for real. I ain't gonna lie.
Buck Hoffman did a good job. I mean,
yes, of course.
Your tackles are going to get beat some. Steele's going to get beat some, and Guyton's going to get beat some. And that's you're trying to trade your back from side to side to try to help chip out. But that's part of it. I mean, I didn't think the offensive line just had a terrible day. The offensive line has to have some opportunity to run the football. If you think you're going to throw it 50 times a game with this offensive line, you're going to get beat some at tackle.
All right. Yeah, when we come back, I'm sorry. When we come back, I want to ask you about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and kind of get your thoughts on CeeDee's injury. And we'll start to kind of also look ahead a little bit to the big Sunday night showdown coming up with who and the Packers. We'll do that coming up. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. Right, I'm supposed to take them off there, which I just did. There we go. I want to talk to you about Mazda and what they're doing, because with Mazda, this episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. That is Iisha Morrison and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. Happy to have you with us. Wish it was after a win. Cowboys fall to the Bears today in Chicago, 31-14. I have not been able to see. I'm trying to multitask. Did CD talk about his ankle at all yet?
1 second. Sounds like I think Jerry talked about it, and a couple folks in the locker room.
Yeah.
Might have caught him. 1 second. I'll definitely check into it.
And then, Coach, I was going to ask you about George Pickens. It's like there's like glimpses of like you see the raw talent and star power, and then it just seems like he still needs to be refined in maybe some of the other aspects of just being a complete wide receiver, in addition to the explosive part of his game. Yeah,
tell me, is there something particular you're talking about?
Just the the little things, working with his hands, learning to secure the catches a little bit better, making sure not to get.
Yeah, he had the one drop today that, I mean, you hate to see that. That happens. I thought he made a great catch down there, the one-handed catch. I thought he ran a great route. He shows sometimes to be a little bit inconsistent with how he comes off the football, but I think he's a hell of a football player. I mean, I think you see huge upside in him and what he can do. I haven't looked at it yet, so it's hard for me to come on here and initially say that I'm going to be anywhere critical of what I saw of him, because I saw a player that was, they knew with CD out, that they knew where the issue was, and he was getting over the top help. So, I'm not gonna say anything other than I'd like to see a little more consistency with him and his releases and how he comes off the football.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, too. Again, CeeDee Lamb comes in. It changes your game plan. I think Pickens is fine. Sounds like CeeDee Lamb. They caught up with him in the locker room. He said he feels like he can play next week. Jerry, echoed those sentiments. So we just keep an eye out on what's happening. But to your point about Pickens, if CeeDee Lamb is in a place to where they're not sure, then you can go into this week game planning for him and game planning for what you want to do with him. I think we saw, to your point, with Pickens, them rolling covers to Pickens, and then the only other guy that is like separating is like Turpin, or again, Dak was taking the check down to Ferguson a lot. I think that had a lot to do with this. So we'll go back and look and stuff, but I don't have a whole bunch of negative to say about Pickens. I know he wants that catch back. Dak put it on him. Actually threw something similar last week, if I'm not mistaken. Big moment in the game. And we'll see if CD's not ready to go, who Dallas decides to, have as that 3 guy. Jalen Tolbert had some important grabs today, but I still don't like his physicality at the catch point. So Ryan Flanoy is somebody that I'm going to be looking at this week and see what they decide to do with him if CD can't play.
All right. Okay. And just with Dak, he's been. We all agree he's gotten off to a really good start. We've talked about that a lot. Today was, to your point, I think this was kind of the perfect example of the pressure and unfortunately not being sustainable. And I'm not saying that to make an excuse for him. I'm just saying that when you're playing behind like that in that kind of a situation, most guys don't do that well. Like, I don't know. What did you think of his performance today?
What you got, Coach?
I thought he was. I thought he was okay today. It wasn't anything that I thought was just jumped off the chart at me. I do think there's times when he gets a little too aggressive and he sees, or he thinks he sees, and you saw him. They really exploited that. Dennis Allen did a great job of exploiting that. He thought he was making the right call to check out of some certain plays when in fact he wasn't. They were dropping out of it. Now he'll adjust to that, and those are all fixable things. And they're not mental mistakes. Those are all things that he can point to and say, hey, I felt like when they did this, they were going to do that. And you know what? It's hard to ding him for that. There's times when I'm not crazy about his body language. Some of that bothers me, but I think Dak is a good quarterback, and I think he's very functional, and I think it does need to go directly on him. They're the guys that are making the money on that side of the ball, and there's no room for error. So I don't know what else to say other than that.
I think I'm sorry, Iisha, real quick. I'm just kind of looking here right now in 2025, and like we saw, for example, in Philly, got off to a great start and then didn't do as much in the second half. And then today, I mean, the Cowboys didn't score in the second half. So trying to, balance the good with realistic expectations, right? But I'd like to see them, find an identity. And I think he threw 40 attempts today before Milton came in. So like we've talked about, in a perfect world, you'd have a little more balance and a little more ball control to help keep your offense on the field and help keep your defense off the field.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, you're playing from behind. So
Yeah,
you know,
you can't run, you got to throw.
yeah, I mean, defense knows what you're trying to do. Yeah, coach mentioned, the situation you putting your tackles in that situation over and over and over again is going to be tough. He took some sacks from having to be in those deep drops and trying to deliver the ball. I do agree with coach. I feel like once we go back and look at the film, we'll look at some guys open in some spots where, maybe he took the check down because he didn't like what he saw, which I get. I mean, your number one receiver is out. It changes your reads. It changes how things kind of feel to you. I get that part. But I thought the quarterback was fine. I thought that he put together the drives. He put together before the half, before they got the ball again, and they didn't do nothing with it. And then the 2-point conversion were huge. And a lot of the reason why they were able to do that was because they were balanced. They were able to run the ball. They were able to pass the ball. They weren't uncomfortable because they were playing from behind. You could, open up your playbook a little bit more. And so I think the quarterback's fine. I'm not worried about him. I am worried about him feeling the pressure again of having to go down and score every time they touch the ball. Heavy is the crown, I guess you want to say, but I do worry about that because we have seen when that happens that he has those untimely interceptions and things like that.
All right. Okay, let's take our final timeout. When we come back, want to get your thoughts on just what this week is going to be like, and then we'll kind of look ahead and talk a little bit about Sunday, and just get some final thoughts on this game today. All right, we'll do that when we come back. Sunday, week 3, Cowboys fall to the Bears. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Cowboy Squad Show on this Sunday, Cowboys and Bears, and now it's the Week 4 Sunday night showdown with Micah Parsons and the Packers, the Green Bay Packers today, who let one get away and actually lost in Cleveland to the Browns. So they're going to be even more motivated than they would be at 3-0. And of course, Micah Parsons will be back facing the Cowboys, and don't need much more to say about that. So this week, it's going to be a lot of hype and a lot of focus, more talk again about the defense like we've already done. What are you guys looking for from this team and this week?
It's the head coach in Green Bay he's going to come in here with a mat on, and he's going to come in here and, I anticipate much like I just anticipated with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. I anticipate the ball to go up, and I anticipate them to take their shots early, and I'm sure they will have some things designed to go at you. And guess what? They're going to be mad. They got embarrassed in a 13-10 game to Cleveland when they had an opportunity to win, get a field goal blocked. So you're going to get a team come in here Sunday night with the red ass. And you got to get ready to play that. And at this point, like I'm kind of to the point now where I'm ready to take care of what's in your house. I'm kind of ready to say, hey, go get straightened out what you've got to get straightened out, because quite frankly, it really doesn't matter who you play in the National Football League.
Yeah.
The last I checked, all of these teams are really good. They're really good. And you can say, well, New York's bad. Or you can say, well, New Orleans is bad. I got news for you. You go flop around, they'll kick your ass, because those guys get paid and they're on scholarship too. So, I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm ready to say we're 3 weeks into this thing. We're 4 weeks out of camp, whatever the scenario is. The mental mistakes must stop. And then you got to figure out personnel-wise, do you have, and Iisha mentioned it, do you have the right people in the game? Or guess what? You might need to look at some other practice squads, look at some other safeties, look at some other guys that maybe have some range. Start trying to turn the bottom of this roster, because they ain't very good. They're not very good. And you got to be honest about that, and you have to be able to take a hardcore look at it.
Yeah, we saw in that Cleveland and Green Bay game, Cleveland was able to do what good teams do and take advantage of the fact that Green Bay had a tackle out. I think Tom was out today, or he was injured this week. And also, too, they had a guard go down during the game. And honestly, they just, Myles Garrett and that defensive line just really put a lot of pressure on Jordan Love today. And that really shut down a lot of what they were trying to do, passing the ball. Will they run the ball? Absolutely. But their aerial attack is where they live. It's where they really thrive. And to Coach's point about Eberflus, about LaFleur, he's very much so like Ben Johnson. He's very much so the type of guy that will embarrass you if he gets the opportunity to. He wants to put his foot on your neck and throw haymakers in these games. And with Dallas, I mean, you got Matthew Golden coming to the crib, and it feels like everybody can run past your safeties. So to Coach's point, you got to figure out what you got going on base level internally. I mean, obviously they have to game plan, but it doesn't matter who you game plan for. If you can't manufacture pressure, or if your back end doesn't know what they're doing, big plays are going to happen. And honestly, that's killing your defense right now. Explosive plays. The Cowboys are number 1 in the league in explosive plays given up 3 weeks into the season. So not only are people scoring on you, they're scoring on you quickly, and you're having to go downfield and try to respond. And not only that, you're having to methodically go down the field to try to give your defense a break. It's ugly. I mean, as far as Green Bay coming into town, I feel like it's going to feel like it feels right now. I think the changes that Dallas has to make is going to have to happen through the course of the season. I don't think it's going to happen in a week at all.
And you both brought up the point earlier about the defense shifting from Quinn to Zimmer to now Eberflus, and the fact that it takes time, right, to get everybody on the same page and all that. But with this team, right, number 1, they're the Cowboys. Number 2, they're in a division with the defending Super Bowl champs. And number 3, a bad start is the one thing that really this team didn't want to do or really couldn't afford to do. And, lost Sunday night, you're staring at 1-3. And that's just about as bad. I mean, I guess 0-4 would be worse. But my point is that, like to your point, Coach, what you were saying, I mean, it's might get uglier before it gets worse. I hope not. I hope they can have a good week of practice and make some adjustments and maybe make a couple big plays and ride that momentum and help the offense stay on the field a little bit longer and get a team win. But it's curious to see how. I remember, Coach, you said this when we were doing the squad shows as well, that the rah stuff is great now, but what happens when you're in a losing streak or you don't get off to a good start? And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, you got to control the things you can control, and I do believe that you're going to have to challenge your offense. Your offense has got to know, if we have any chance to beat the Green Bay Packers, we got to go score 35. That's it. And so knowing that you've only got so many possessions in a game. There's only so many times you're going to get it.
Yep.
And so that's what you have to do. And you got to be challenged in that way. And I mean, we can sit here and cut this up a million different ways. If you don't score 35 Sunday night, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. It's just that simple. Just let the Bears, for crying out loud.
Please. I have 2 close friends that love the Bears, and I got to hear from them all week. Pain. But I also wanted to bring up another point about this defense. I don't, and this is me guessing. I don't know. If I'm a defensive coordinator and I know that if I'm under the assumption I'm going to have Micah Parsons, I think that it changes how your defense feels, especially your defensive fronts. There's so many things that the Cowboys have done through the years. This secondary is used to having a defensive line that at the very least gets pressure. Maybe not always gets home, but gets pressure. Michael Parsons was injured a good part of the year last year. What was it, 3 games last year, comes back in. Dallas's pressure rate goes up exponentially. The attention that he drew while he was here opened up things for the rest of the defense and the defensive line. And the fact that he is not physically here, or you don't have anyone again that warrants that type of respect. I mean, there were times, I know you saw Coach last year, there's times that you had 3 guys on Michael Parsons. So then in turn, you have all this attention on Michael Parsons. Other guys are able to get loose. Right now, you don't have any of that. People are dedicating double teams to your defensive tackles. And mind you, one of the defensive tackles, also Digizua, is a guy that is here to pressure and sack the quarterback. So you're really not affecting the quarterback enough. And I think that I'm not going to sit up here. I know we don't have to ponder on Micah Parsons not being here. What I'm saying is your defensive outlook in the front is almost totally different game plan wise. Offenses are planning for you totally different now. And I don't know if Eberflus knew that he would be without Micah Parsons to start this season. And I don't know if that secondary did either, because it makes a difference.
I mean, you gotta hope that you can get something out of Clowney.
Pray.
You gotta hope that he can come in here and give you 12, 15 snaps. They're gonna have to game plan for the fact that, hey, he can get up the field a little bit, and that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to hope that,
I'm gonna pray about
maybe you got a little help on the way.
We're gonna fast about it. We're gonna pray and fast. Do something.
Amen. Well, for whatever it's worth, Jerry Jones told the media he believes the Cowboys are still a playoff team. So what else is he going to say? I know, but
nothing, maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
As of after a game like this. But you know what? Nothing wrong with him being confident. I just, my mind's not even there. My mind's not even there at all.
All right. Anything else stand out to you before we go? Some final thoughts. Anything else stand out to you about today? Anything positive? Anything not so positive? Anything that we didn't hit on?
I'll tell you, Kavontae Turpin is as tough as it gets.
Oh my God!
You talk about a kid that is tough. He took a shot catching that ball in the whole shot throw. I mean, yeah. You know what he is. You hope guys like that rub off on other players, because to be 100 he gets some mounts at Saratoga tomorrow and he's out in the NFL. I mean, there's something to be said for that.
No, I mean, you read my mind, Coach. Literally took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to mention, I feel like that's a big deal. It was a big deal for me to see. I'm sure it's a big deal for some of these other people to see. When Kavontae Turpin, when they start talking about integrating him into the offense, I know a lot of people were worried about the physicality of the game and him getting hit over the middle, him taking some of those shots, and for him to pop up and continue to play through that today gave me confidence that he's capable of doing that. So I agree with you. I felt like that was big, and you're going to need him moving forward. So I agree.
All right. Well, 31-14, the final today. Want to thank you, Iisha. Thank you, Coach. If you're in the area, Coach will be on TV tonight on Channel 8, so be sure and check him out or listen to him on the radio. Iisha, have a great week, and we'll look forward to your reports from practice. And we'll have our midweek squad show on Wednesday night, and then we'll be back with you late next Sunday night. It's going to be a late night, but hopefully it'll be after a Cowboys win an upset over the Pack next Sunday night. For Iisha Morrison and the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, thank you everybody for watching live and for watching later. Don't forget to listen to Marcus and Landon, the Daily Cowboys podcast, tonight and tomorrow. But for us, thank you for being with us. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.